Okay, hello, welcome back to the channel, the Financial Fallout Diary. Today is the 9th of August, Sunday as normal. And the silver prices are starting to move. The silver prices was up to like $63 an ounce or something like this last time I checked. So it's been starting to move a little bit. So the commodity markets looks like they're back online. And we will see how this will turn out, if this is just like nothing, just like a little on the chart, or if it's like will start to go up again, because I think that will go up a lot. But probably the war in Iran and everything, like all the turbulence in the markets has in some way been stopping the commodity market from exploding. So we will see what's happening. And the best thing is that the higher prices of the oil has been starting to stabilize, I guess. So we will see what's happening. But as the Ukrainians are bombing the Russians' refinery plants, so they cannot do any products of their petroleum. So they're hard to do like gasoline and diesel fuel of their crude oil. And if I understand this correctly, so they have like fuel shortages in Russia right now, and the Russian has started to do the same to Ukraine. So now the Ukrainian facilities is starting to get hit. So I guess that there will be shortage of this also, and the Asian countries is having a problem because they got most of its oil supplies from the Strait of Hormuz, or what the fuck the name is. So they will also have some problem with the oil, and I guess that whatever happened in like the oil supplies and the war in the Iran and stuff like this, I'm guessing that this would not have been doing so much of different for them, because if I understand correctly, the China will implode this decade, probably this or next decade, because they have no workers, they have not get any kids, so they have like a really bad economic situation going forward. And in all of this social and central stars economies, they have the problem with demand and supply, because this is a good way for an economy to adjust itself for what's needed to be producing. It's like when you go to the store and you buy something, you send signals through the system, and that you want this stuff for this price, and then someone can like make more of it. But if you in a socialist countries and in the communist countries, they don't have this, because then there's a big central bureaucracy that demands, or like say to everyone, like, you want this much bread, this much tractors, this much steels. And this works most of the time for a short while, as in the beginning, but after a while it will be just going more and more downwards, I guess, because of the imbalances that grows in the system. And this is really hard to get an economy. And this is the same, I think, what's happened in the West, not because we have destroyed the demand and supply, but because we have short interests. So we have been looking to like get the women into the workforce. When you get the women into the workforce explodes, and then you can produce more for a little pay less for your labor. And this works for a little bit of while, because then people stop having kids, and when they stop having kids, they can focus more on working and spending. And if they work and spend more, the economy grows for a while. Then after a while, we have a problem, because we have no new consumers, so we have no new workers, because no one has been produced. So I guess we are kind of in the same situation, but in a different from a different angle, I guess. So, and we have been out here, and I've been working a lot in Sweden, and I work on the seas, so I work on this ferry. So I see a lot of what's happening on the waters, and I guess that my observation is that there's less boats, and like people not out as much as before. So a lot of like how we consume stuff has changed, I guess. And we will see if I'm correct, because I saw this also in the Balkans, and I see this everywhere I am. We was in Norway for a trip, and it was like all the camps were like, they were not fully booked. There was always room for you, and normally it's not like this. So I'm not sure what's gonna happen in the future, but yeah, you will see. And I guess that in Sweden we had this in Sweden we have election coming up next month, and the gas prices or the fuel prices has been a big issue again, because we have the last government, not this one, but the government before that, we had an environmental party in this, and they really suggested with the Social Democrats that the gas prices should go up. And we had like around like $3 a liter on diesel fuel as it's worth, and like $2.50 for gas or something like this, to something 220 something like this. And so now this is a big issue. So now it's really hard to win an election in Sweden with rising fuel prices, because people don't voting for it. We don't want this shit. We want a big economy. We want to survive. We want to thrive. We want to grow. But if you take away the energy sectors, and like we did in Sweden and most European countries, when they shut down like nuclear plants and they're gonna replace that with wind and solar, it's kind of a shitty idea when you live in a country like when half of the year the sun is not shining, and when it's really cold and we need the most electricity, the wind is not blowing. So it's not a good idea. And now with the first of all, we had the gas crisis from the Nord Stream pipeline was blown up in Germany. So Germany, they have a fucking strange way of doing this. So they put down their nuclear plants and they went for Russian gas. And then the war happened, and the Nord Streams get blown up from what I guess is the Ukrainian. So they don't get so much gas from Russia anymore, not from the pipes anyway. They still buy it, but they still buy it from like the tankers, the LNG tankers. But then they start to like resupply and get their LNG from like America and from the Iran or like this area, Middle East. But now when the Iran war is happening, so they cannot get their LNG from there either. Or if I understand correctly, the gas storage facilities is really low. If I understand correctly, they're like half what it need to be. So we have like half of the gas in Europe stored for what we need for the winter. And this could be a problem. So if we have a cold winter and a harsh winter, this can be a really big problem for the energy prices. In Sweden, I forget, we don't use gas so much for heating and for electricity. We use hydroelectric plants and nuclear powers for the most of it. But so we have excess of electricity. But then we hook our stuff up and we sell it to the continent. So if the prices go up there, prices will go up here. And also they have this strange thing of like putting a lot of data centers here. So I don't know, I'm not sure, but I think in a close future we will stop exporting electricity, because we will use so much of our own to these big data centers, I guess. So yeah, it's a little bit hard to know what's happening in this. And it's hard to know where it's going, because the energy crisis or the energy problem is real. And it's a big problem that because we have so much stored and we have so much. So it's like a lot of stuff is happening like for like 15, 20 years ago with a lot of electricity. Everyone's like, yeah, we're cheap, it's good electricity in Sweden. Then we started to close down nuclear plants. So we get less electricity. And after that, we started to raise the demand by building this data, like server halls. Big energy consuming facilities, and we are still building them. And they want to do like green steel, they call it, with the hydro instead of coal in north, and this will take so much energy. And so we will see. I guess that that we have a lot of cheap energy. It will end. So the energy will probably go up a lot in Sweden, and because we have a country that we need a lot of energy because it's cold, and it's just like our thermal. So like our biggest competition before was like we have really cheap electricity. We have like high labor costs, but we have cheap electricity costs. So we can have this really big like steel plants and stuff that take a lot of electricity, because it makes sense to put them here. Because okay, the labor cost was high, but the energy cost was so low, and they consume so much energy and not so much labor. So it was some kind of, you can do this good, But this will probably end for now. So we will see what happens. But yeah, I will keep you updated. So I will see what's happening during next week, and I will keep you updated. Hopefully the silver prices will start growing, that would be good for my portfolio. So I see you later. Ciao.